Yeah. All right. Well, let's do the old what's good thing here if we can. I think we can. Here is what's good. Well, while we were off and for the Christmas break, I had a little time to catch up on stuff that I had not read yet because I hadn't been to the shop to pick up new stuff. I picked up some things. I read some things that people might not be familiar with. I know I wasn't. And among those things is this reprint of Strange Tales number, what is it, 178? I think the first appearance of Adam Warlock. I want to say it's the first appearance of Adam Warlock, if I'm as Adam Warlock, um, by Jim Starlin, back when he was one of the auteurs of Marvel, one of the few people like John Byrne and Frank Miller who would do everything himself. Getting double, triple duty out of this dude for a pretty good price. Good old Marvel. Man, I had not read this. Have you ever read this book from the
No.
Bronze Age? Yeah, it's definitely the Bronze Age for sure. Man, it's so super well drawn. I mean, I didn't see it the first time around, but man, I read some of Jim Starlin's stuff later on, but his pages are super well put together. And this Adam Warlock character is this kind of an altruistic person who, as I recall, it was a couple weeks ago when I read it, so it's still in my memory. But at the end, he discovers that he is the Magus. Spoiler. Everybody knows this anyway. That was reading stuff back in that day, and it's like he came from the future, and he has no memory of himself and all that. I think that's the end of the emphasis of the story there. But man, I had no idea how good Jim Starlin was in this in his day. I think we got to see him at the SummerCon this year in Washington State SummerCon. Man, this if you can pick this up, you can actually get I know you can find this somewhere for for cover price or less. You can actually get the original book for a reasonable price. You want it in high grade, it's going to be costly, of course. But if you want to just get it for like a reading copy or just a to have copy, you can. I'm looking on mycomicshop.com where this is like about maybe $20 to get you a decent mid grade copy. So it's really worth picking up. Strange Tales, man. It's it's awesome. I mean, I had no idea how much fun. It's a little wordy, but it kind of pays off because he's a little over the top in his description of things, but he makes it look so cool and he uses all those Kirby dots and all that stuff, man. This is good stuff. Pick up this reprint at the very least.
Classic.
And one more classic from those days. Another book I never read. Cap number 117, first appearance of the Falcon. I mean, I'm looking for this one to cost you a little bit more. It's doable, but it's not out of range really, depending on what your range is. This one will cost you a little bit more in the actual book. But man, this is so it's just so Marvel for that era. It's a Stan Lee and Gene Colan joint. So Stan is using the Marvel method, making Gene Colan like, here, Gene, here's an idea. I want Cap to meet the Falcon out in the jungle somewhere, and they become friends, and Cap disguises himself. Make it happen. Bring me 21 pages tomorrow. So Gene shows up with all the 21 pages, and Stan puts in his long, wordy descriptions of everything, and bam, done. You're welcome. So in this one, Cap has been body switched by the Red Skull, and so Cap is a Red Skull, and the Red Skull is Cap. And the Red Skull is like dropped on this island in the tropics, and the Cap is back in the U.S. of A. just walking around, just preening like a prima donna, and everybody's like, Cap usually camera shy, but here he is, like strutting around like like Rand Paul or some shit, he's just like, yes, take pictures of me, you low life humans, And meanwhile, meanwhile, back in the jungle, Cap is is fighting for his life against the Red Skull's enemies, who are also on this island. Of course, a bunch of Nazi lookalike wannabes. Among them, this guy named Cadavus, who's like this weird looking dude in a wheelchair. I love that name too. It's like this like motorized wheelchair that fires rockets at people and shit. And so Cap's trying to fight him as the Red Skull without his shield, without his super soldier power. I guess the Red Skull has some kind of enhanced power, and his body does at least. So he's trying to survive with them. Then he figures like, oh, I can take this fucking mask off. He takes off the Red Skull's mask, but they never show the face of the actual Red Skull. I guess just to keep you in I guess in mystery as to what the real Red Skull looks like under the mask. Because I've never seen him with the mask off. Maybe other Marvelites have. If you have, shout it out. Yes, Sam Wilson has always been cool. I mean, he is a good character, I have to say. I like him better as the Falcon. I don't know about everybody else, but you know, and the MCU Cap is dead, but we'll see about that coming up pretty soon. I mean, Chris Evans is ready to come back to make a little bit more money. So Cap, as the Red Skull, runs into the Sam Wilson, who's like, I forgot what's his reason he's there. He's there like, to help the people of that island who needed at first it was the AIM and Modoc. Well, I forgot how you pronounce that. The big-headed guy. And the agents of AIM are also on the island too, and they're wreaking havoc on all the inhabitants. So Sam is helping those people out. And Cap, this is the craziest thing. I don't know if this is some Stan Lee shit or Colin came up with it. It probably was Stan's idea. The Red Skull, to disguise himself, because I wanted to see what I look like. He decided to put like clay on his face and disguise himself, like to make I guess Cap has learned how to use clay to disguise himself. Like,
of course he has.
Yeah, because who doesn't do that? Because I guess Sam and all the other people like, man, bro, you look a little pasty about the face there, bro. You all right? But everything's fine. We just pretend everything's fine. And he meets Sam, and of course they become fast friends. And he doesn't know this Captain America. So at the time, he's just some random dude, in the jungle. He's got Red Wing with him and everything. And this is a continued story, but somehow they at the end, all the I think the people, someone in the tribe makes a suit for him, and the Falcon is born. And that's the last page of the book. Man, this is a pretty good first appearance. I would pick this up too. At least the reprint. I mean, if you haven't read it before, and which I haven't, so I don't. If I ever get the actual book now, I can just I even have to open it up to read it and just save it and put it in some Mylar or something. Yes. Well, that's
the beginning of a long friendship.
Yeah, I know, right? Long friendship. And classic Gene. Oh man, that Gene Colan art is crazy. I think Stan wanted everyone to just mimic Jack Kirby's style, and Gene kind of did that, but you can still see his own style coming through there too. Yeah, very similar to. Yes, me too. Yes, I also have disguised myself by putting clay on my face from time to time. Always a plus. Another thing that a lot of people don't know about, there was a person on the channel once who went by flying over trout, which I didn't know at the time. I wasn't as deep into Mystery Science Theater 3000 as I am now, but there was a Mystery Science Theater 3000 reference. But this came out a couple of years ago, maybe even like 4 years ago, maybe like, because at the time they were just rebooting it on Netflix. This may have been like 2000 or 2001. This came out. Yeah, 2018. Ooh, 2018. Ooh, it's been a long time. Yeah, but if you're not familiar with the concept of MST3K, in a not too distant future, blah 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 blah. There's this guy who first it was Joel, and then it was Mike, and then on Netflix it's a different guy. So it's always a different guy who's forced to watch bad movies along with 3 robots, and they just riff on the bad movie, and it makes it worth the while. It makes a bad movie watchable to have them just like tear it apart with with sarcasm and stuff like that. So to convert that to a comic book, the mad scientists take one of the characters, Crow T Robot, and insert them into an old comic book. So now they're riffing on a comic book. So they got some of these old the style, and they turn it to the old yellowed paper, so that they make it like an old movie, and he's riffing as he's in the comic book as one of the characters. So that's how you can translate that to a comic book, and it's not bad. There's a series called Sham Comics. I think we may have talked about it before on this channel. Shout out to Sham. I forget who. I think maybe they may be independently produced. They may not have a publisher. I remember seeing them at the Space Show in Ohio when I used to go there when I lived in the Midwest. And they would take like public domain, like romance novels or westerns or any kind of public domain material, and they would just rewrite all the words. And it's kind of like the same thing that they do on MST3K. So if you find this MST3K, this was a series apparently. I only got the first one. This was worth a read, especially if you're a fan of that book. Yeah. Oh snap! Speaking of Scout Comics, not a big fan of Scout because they kind of treat their talent the way that American mythology treats their cover people. But this series, this one shot, this is very cool. So cool one shot called Snaps, and it's written and drawn and lettered and everything by John Clark, is the gentleman who did this. And his style is really it puts you almost like in the mold of Damian Connolly, and a little bit kind of like that. And the main character is this doctor who's just this young womanizing jerk, and he's trying to get busy with some woman, and his neighbor is knocking on the door, and it turns out his neighbor is a friend of his. They go back, but what his neighbor really wants to tell him about is that he's been taking photos, and he's been able to like take these snapshots of people, and these monsters appear in the photograph behind them. But he looks through I'm not looking in the lens. He looks at it like with his naked eye, and you don't see the monsters. And he's breaking that down to him, and that plays into what happened to, I believe, the neighbor's sister. The neighbor and him grew up, years and years, and they kind of go back a ways. And the sister died years ago mysteriously, and there's a reason why that happens. And it's a nice one shot. I mean, it's only $5, and it's very well done and very, very trippy looking art. So you can see snaps around there somewhere. Pick it up. It's not bad. In fact, it's what's good. In fact, the last one, oh God, I mean, see, I read this like 3 weeks ago. So I'm a little bit, like I said, so much stuff is swimming around in my head. I know that this is good. It's Worm Fusion, and this is from Distillery and Scott Hoffman and Alberto Ponticelli. This is about research into growing body parts for people for prostheses, and not being organic prostheses, basically. And there is a very twisted doctor involved here who's doing that kind of stuff. Artwork is good, very good, as you see here. And I can't honestly, it's from Prophetic Solutions is the name of the company that makes the prostheses and all that jazz. And I just remember it being a very good book. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly everything about it. You can take my word for it. It's a good book.
It was good. I swear it was.
Swear to God, it's good. But yeah, it's a very good book. I got the Tula Lote variant cover that I don't have on me right now. Yeah, but good book, very good art, and a very good premise. And most of these Distillery books, I want to say, are 3-issue limited series, and this is probably the same concept here. I think they're totally worth the $9 that they cost. Yeah, Warm Fusion is something I'll be checking out going forward. And hey, that's a catch-up week of what's good. So thank you and good night. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up.